Matt Larson here with Big Sioux Media as we have another update from the school with the Dell Rapids Superintendent Dr. Summer Schultz. And thanks again for joining us here this afternoon. I'm sure we've got lots to talk about with the latest updates from the governor here that have just come out in the last couple of days. But before we jump into that, I want to touch on the current school calendar. I know that we've had the Good Friday and Easter Monday scheduled to be off for students prior to everything happening. So what's the plan for those 2 days around Easter before we get into everything else?
We will continue to go along with those being scheduled vacation days. So students who are participating in the virtual learning will not have any new assignments or engagement activities on those days. And we will also not be having the food service program on those days.
Okay. So now we jump into some of the announcements that the governor came out with earlier this week about wanting to keep these schools closed through the rest of the school year. What's the plan there for Dell Rapids? I'm assuming it's going to be what everybody else is doing.
Right. No, that's just it. And I think some people have waited for an announcement of some sort from me. And what the Department of Ed is telling us is they really want us to try to stay true to our original school calendar that was put into place. Like I had said before, instructional minutes have been waived, but that doesn't mean that they don't want us to try to hold on to that integrity of the school year as long as we can. Right now, the Dell Rapids School is scheduled to be, our last day is supposed to be May 19th. I don't anticipate the board amending that calendar end date any. What I do anticipate happening is the administrators and myself have started working on how it looks, how those last few weeks look in each building. Because as you can imagine, in a virtual learning environment, you don't just wrap up one day. And I've really asked my teachers to be really be focusing on those core content target areas that we want kids to have met, more so than, say, assignments. And so I anticipate that building principals and teachers will be communicating with parents about that last week and a half might look a little different. We have to, believe it or not, start preparing for reentry. What does reentry look like next fall when a student ended in a virtual learning environment? And that looks different for each of my grade levels. At the high school level, we know that in order to give credit for a class, there are some certain components that had to get touched on. They had to at least be introduced. The elementary level, in order for us to be better prepared for that student to go into the next classroom in the fall, my teachers need to be able to say confidently, this is where, student A, these are the things that student A knows, and these are some things student A probably going to really need some remedial help with or need to revisit in the fall. So I want to give my teachers time to work a little bit more independently with students for that last week and a half so that we can confidently say those things upon reentry. So I just encourage parents to kind of watch for those messages, that communication to come from principals, because it could very well look different. The actual last day of true instruction versus some individualized instruction could look different in each building.
Sure. So now with being out of school through the end of the school year, at least out of the building, now we look ahead to locker and desk cleanouts, because I'm sure kids haven't taken anything home from that March 13th date they were last in the building, and students have Chromebooks, they have textbooks, they have library books. Any sort of ideas or plans on getting that back into the school for next year?
Yeah. I got a uncashed check and some cash out of my son's locker today, so that was a bonus. But we have a plan. We don't have a specific target date yet, because what I want parents to understand is, those who have needed something, say glasses, medication, we've already gotten that to folks. But what we're going to do now is we are having school staff empty lockers, empty classroom desks, that sort of thing, and empty athletic lockers, and we are securing those items in bags. So we will be putting that we'll label it in a garbage bag type thing and save it, because we don't want parents or kids to come pick up those things and then 4 or 5 weeks from now we say, oh, now bring back your textbook. Sure. And your so we want to do it all on one day. So again, building principals will be creating a kind of a staggered schedule for that. I think that we could easily be at a time in our community, in our county, that we literally have to have a drive up where parents will drive up. We will have a tub. They will put the Chromebooks and the textbooks in the tub. They won't get out of their car. We will put the bag of goodies in their trunk, and away they will go. We just cannot have 900, almost 1,000 kids come in the building, get their stuff, come out. And it's not feasible. So that's my best plan, and that will take place sometime that last week of our virtual learning, around that 17th, 18th, 19th in there.
Sure. So now as we add a few more weeks to being at home through the rest of this year, is the lunch going to change through the last few weeks of May, or is that going to kind of stay what it's been over the last month?
It is going to stay. We will continue to allow parent pickup. We'll continue deliveries. I did make note on there, we were originally trying to just deliver to Dell's public students. I know this community, I know the St. Mary's community well enough that I think if we have a need, I can get some people to help me deliver to those families if suddenly it's just a little bit too much for me and my staff. So we want people that if your child is at home and alone, I don't care if they are a public student, a homeschool, a student from another community that's living here, let me know. Fill out that form or that survey that comes out each weekend, and we will get a meal delivered. So everything should stay the same. We average about 100 meals a day, and with some generous sponsorship, we've been able to put some snacks in. And on a weekend like this weekend, that's really important because people don't want to go to the grocery store as much, and although that's the one place I think a lot of us go, just having that extra food on hand for kids is an important thing. So I'm so thankful to our community for helping with that.
So now another hot topic, I'm sure, is graduation. What might that look like come May for those seniors?
I had a Zoom meeting today with our senior co-presidents. And I said to them, I want you to know that just because I don't have a complete plan and I haven't visited with you, it's not that I'm not acknowledging how much you've lost this year and how much I would love to do for you. We're trying to be really careful between balancing, giving them an appropriate send-off, and creating some false hope and continuing to move a date, so to say, down the line. So this is where we're at today, Matt, and I thank you for the question. Right now, we want to do something on the weekend of graduation. So on May 16th, we want to do something that we can acknowledge you graduated. You're a four-year graduate, and we're proud of you. Knowing that if we were in a shelter in place, all of this could possibly just not be able to happen. But should we be in a similar state like we are now, we're going to try to do a mixture of a virtual and individual ceremony. Where kids are able to come to probably the football field. They're going to be able to get their cap and gown on, give mom a rose, get their diploma from Mr. Bunkers. All the while, we want to be able to video that so that we can create a virtual ceremony by putting all those pieces together. We'd like to hire a professional photographer to also be there, or have one of our staff members who does photography, so that if parents are only able to bring, the people from their family, one of them shouldn't have to be taking pictures. Sure. So, but again, this would be one graduate at a time. Should they choose to participate, they would come, they would get their diploma, they'd be able to go into an area of the football field with some pictures, and then they would leave, and then another student would come. But it would allow our students to be able to get their diploma from Mr. Bunkers, take a picture in their cap and gown here on the campus at some point, give mom or dad a rose, and then we would create the best sort of presentation we could from that. Now, there's a second part of that I asked those two co-presidents today. I said, now some people are doing something where they delay a ceremony. And I said, I need to know from you if you would like me to delay another ceremony. No matter what, we're going to do a virtual/individual event. But I said, well, they actually asked me, what if this all clears up and we can do something in July? And I said, well, No offense, kiddos, but your mom and dad maybe should be a part of this decision, because as kids, you're going to show up. But mom and dad might see that as a way to be extending this event, extending this celebration at their house further down the line. So this weekend, I will be emailing, I'll be in contact with every senior family and ask them, would you also, along with the virtual event, like us to schedule a one chance opportunity to have a larger scale ceremony in July, knowing that, say, come July 1st, we would have to make a decision, yes or no. There would be no makeup date. Some families, I think, are going to say, you know what, the virtual one on the day of, that's enough. We want to be done at that point. Others are going to say, you know what, we want to hold out hope, even if it's very small hope, for a large scale ceremony. So that communication will come out, and then I just look forward to getting the parents put on it.
Sure. Yeah, lots of different things that can happen there. Another topic I want to talk about, because this is something that's been on my mind. I've got the email, the packet, Summer Haven. You look out to the summer, any ideas of how that might look? Because I know there's a registration date and a registration fee to get signed up, and I've been kind of holding on. Like, what might happen there?
Right. I utilize Haven as well. And I honestly don't know, part of what attracts people to this community, I think, is that Haven program for our kids. It's fantastic, especially in the summer. What I will say right now, I visited with with Lisa Wilbur, the director, this morning, and we're not quite ready to make that decision. We feel like in about 2 weeks, we are going to try to make one. We know it's in the back of parents' mind. You and I are both examples of that. We want parents to know the likelihood of having Summer Haven is probably very slim. However, we thought if we could give it until close to May 1st, to make a final decision, that's where we're at. I think, again, kind of like prom, the first time you and I talked, if I had to make a decision today, I would have to probably say Summer Haven as is not going to happen. But we want to wait and reevaluate, see if that surge is, if we have any better models or an understanding of where that peak is in our community. And so around that May 1st timeline, we will let parents know one way or the other.
And I know there were some other things happening around the school over the summer. I do know there's some construction projects that were put in place for the summer. Is this going to impact those, or are those going to be able to continue to go on as planned?
I've never complained about getting a head start on a construction project before. So if there is any silver lining in all of this, we are probably going to be a little bit better tempered in the fall, end of summer, because our project will have a couple weeks head start. But yes, and this project is so large. It encompasses so many different areas of the school, everywhere from creating a new media center up here at the high school to, rearranging some special education rooms in the middle school and everything kind of in between. So the school is going to really be under construction completely. And construction is going to start on the 27th of April. So we were able to move that up almost a full 3 weeks, a little bit over actually. And so that will continue to go on as scheduled. So we're trying to figure out how we get the rooms cleaned out safely at a time when, my staff is already under a lot of pressure to deliver instruction virtually. Now I say to a lot of them, oh, by the way, your entire classroom needs to be cleaned out here in the next 2 weeks. But the project will go on. I think I'm excited that kids are going to come back to school with a brand new media center and a brand new student lounge area. And I think it's going to be well worth it, and maybe just kind of a neat little way to bring them back.
Well, I want to end on another positive note. We've been talking for weeks about all the changes and challenges we've all been facing, but one thing I thought was really cool that the community in the school did for the community was the staff parade, getting to see all the teachers drive by and wave at the kids. And how did that go from your perspective, feedback, what you've been hearing about that?
I tell you, I have a couple different perspectives. I didn't ride in the parade because I wanted to experience it with my own kid. And so my kindergartner was out there, and I don't think she's any different than a lot of other students right now, even though they're being able to see people, see their teachers virtually once in a while. We have to really be on the lookout for some social emotional needs that aren't just can't meet. And so for those students to see their teachers, to see Mr. Bunkers, and to see, Rocky, our mascot, I have heard nothing but positive feedback on that. I think that was just so important for our students, and on the flip side, staff needed that as much as our students did, and it just kind of reminded me how passionate my staff is for the kids, to see their excitement in doing it. So it was great, and postponing it for the day with sun was definitely a good call.
Yeah, it couldn't have been any better out on Monday. I mean, that was just phenomenal. Well, do you have anything else that you want to touch on before we wrap up this update?
I don't. Again, I just thank you and Big Sioux Media for these updates. I tend to send kind of long, lengthy emails, and I know a lot of parents are like me, and they kind of skim through it. So this is helpful. So I thank you for doing it, and I just want, again, those parents of my seniors to know that I acknowledge all of the things I have taken away from them, and it's not easy. And I hope that they will reach out and kind of give me their feedback on that extended date, and some ideas with the virtual individual one on the 16th. But we'll get a plan that I hopefully they're happy with, and that their child is proud of. So,
right. Well, again, thank you for taking the time to give us the update, and again, let us know when you've got some more things you'd like to share.
That's good. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks.